All right, here we are, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. This is episode 2 of the Amici podcast. I am your co-host, Mark Aiello.
And I'm your other co-host, Giancarlo. And
Say your full name, dude.
I don't know. I feel like Giancarlo Megalita is...
What do you mean? It's what?
No, it's a mouthful. It's like, and my name is Giancarlo Megalita.
Yeah, well, Aiello is kind of a mouthful too. I mean, try spelling that if you only hear it.
Aiello.
All right, let's do that again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
I'm your host, Mark Aiello.
And I'm Giancarlo Megalita. And we're back in action.
We're back in action here for episode 2 of the Amici podcast. Thank you all for those of you that tuned into the last episode and giving us the love and support. We really appreciate that.
No doubt.
Hell yeah. So today, like I said, we'll run down again for you for what we do here. This podcast is all about entrepreneurship, running a business, the journey that we go about doing this, the downfalls, the struggle, the shortcoming, but also the enjoyment, the fulfillment of it, the ups, the success and everything, warts and all, as they would say. Mm-hmm. That's what we're here to talk about. And today the topic we're going to be running with is goals, So, like, what is a goal? You think like people have dreams, like you could just, we need to, I think, first distinguish like goals from dreams,
Totally.
Like, I think a dream is just kind of something you think of as something nice. Like
Pipe dream.
Like I dream of having a big fancy house or something like that.
Or a Lamborghini.
Lamborghini. Not that those can't be acquired, but they kind of are like, they're kind of just like fun little things that you say and don't really have any real substance behind them.
There's no plan.
There's no plan behind them. We'll definitely get to that for sure. But a goal is like, that's not what a goal is. I mean, if you're like a 12-year-old, like, and you have a goal to like, let's say you want to you want to be the next Captain America. You want to be in a Marvel movie. It's like, okay, that may sound like a dream at first, but like, if your goal is like, okay, well, I'm going to learn, I'm going to watch everything. I'm going to watch all the movies. I'm going to know everything I know about acting from now until 18. I'm just going to absorb everything about movies in me. And then when I hit 18, I'm going to go to acting school and I'm going to go to auditions, maybe get on commercials. That's a goal.
Right.
Those are goals. That's concrete.
Concrete ideas, take it step by step and actually attain that goal in bite-sized pieces. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, but I mean, anything that's been big, any major success that happened, whether that was an individual like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or even just like collectively built things like, just say Rome, I think of Rome because
it's always Rome.
I'm on a real history kick. I love history and I've been on a real Roman history kick lately. And, think like Rome, like how Rome was built. It was, people just didn't, out of nowhere just start like building a city. There was a vision behind it.
Right.
They imagined this sort of city like within the hills and like having a big forum and a coliseum.
Right, and the government.
The Senate. They imagined that from the get-go before it was even constructed. They built that. Same with America, this great country we're in, the greatest country on earth.
Right.
This was built. It was literally, the Congress, the Continental Congress, they banded up after the revolution, and they said, this is what our country is going to look like,
Right.
So that's what goals are, I think. That's what a goal is basically, having that idea in your head. Like I said, it can maybe start as a dream, but it is like you have a sort of plan for it. The plan, I guess, comes part of the goal, but a goal is like literally, it's a vision. It's something that you can clearly imagine yourself doing. So
right, it's something you can track. It's analytics behind it. A goal is something you can track. A goal is something you can be like, okay, have I done this by, October 28th?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
for sure.
Uh,
Yeah. No. I mean, we kind of went over our goals in the last episode. We can kind of run by them again.
sure.
I mean, so like, I could tell you that, my goals for next year. I could tell you, we don't have to get into it. We kind of spent the last episode kind of doing that.
Yeah.
I know what you think, but we can just say, my goal, obviously, like, we could, just for example's sake, like, we could talk about our goals. Like mine, I want to be, I'm already a filmmaker, but my goal, I want to be working with these extreme clients, these people with edgy stories, whether that be Under Armour or Harley Davidson, like think like these edgy, fiery brands, and just telling stories. I'm talking cinematic stories, not just something that I'm like running gunning, like I may have done the past year, which is cool. It's everybody has to start somewhere,
right.
but
part of the process
for sure. That's what I'm after, and eventually from there have make my own films, and start out with shorts and then create feature films that I could maybe I don't know how I would distribute it, but I got to figure that out. My plan, but I want to create. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to create my own films and entertain people, give them something, give some sort of spark of whether it be inspiration or thrill, or maybe just maybe some hope, even
Yeah.
and
Make a difference in
yeah,
somebody's life. And like you were saying before, like even if it's not even in our respective fields, like if it's, you can inspire somebody to get up and get to the gym, or adopt a new healthy habit, or
totally,
think outside of the confines of how they would normally. So that's great.
That's what I'm after, and also simultaneously creating some kind of brand around me. And I have other pursuits too that I need to think about. I'm full of ideas, me.
Yeah.
But tell the people again what you're after, what you're.
Yeah, definitely. So like I said in the last episode, I'm a musician. Specifically, I'm a singer and a guitarist. I'm a performer. I'm a writer. I'm a recorder. I'm a live show performer and enthusiast. I always like to say I'm a fan at the same time.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm always inspired to be doing this. But goals wise, like I said before, my goal is to be able to pay my bills doing this. It's
a good goal.
It's starting out pretty well, pretty steadily. Really just starting to. I got the brand together. I got the logo. I'm getting the shows together. Shout out, we also have some merch coming, so I'll probably let people know when that's coming too. So
yeah, at the end of this, let's make a plug for that.
Yeah,
like tell people the link or whatever.
Definitely. But yeah, just overall, I guess kind of similar to yours as well. To be financially stable for myself doing this, and to cross over from the 9-to-5 kind of thing that I've been doing, and then monetize it.
Yeah.
So I know, obviously you and I are in somewhat similar, but at, of course, different spots in our journeys.
Sure.
But the commonality is that we, I guess, kind of have the same end goal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we pretty much do. We're on the same page as far as what we want in life.
Right.
Similar things, and et cetera. And, personal goals too. I think you and I are pretty similar in that.
Yeah.
But you think like, okay, so we're talking about, it's like the listeners, like you get it. It's like, okay, I get it. Goals are a thing, are important. I know what it is, but like, why do you need one? I mean, there is something to be said about those outliers that are just lucky and they just kind of fall into success, where they had no plan really whatsoever to like break it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to think of some examples, like
billionaires' kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I'm not talking about that. I mean, just like not necessarily like it's not as a matter of like which cooch you came out of. It's more of like, like, I mean, what, like, who is a,
like somebody who shot from the hip and
Yeah.
somehow made it.
yeah,
They're very rare. I can't really think of like,
they're out there, but
Yeah.
they're not as common for
Yeah.
sure. But
Howard Dean.
did he?
I don't know. I mean, he got into American politics, but I don't think he's really. What is he doing nowadays?
I have no idea. He's probably holding some office. I
don't know.
imagine, but
I honestly can't think of. I'm not shitting on
Yeah.
Howard Dean. I'm just, trying to figure out
Yeah.
who. You know?
yeah. I mean, the point. It doesn't matter, I guess, examples of those people, but the point is, I'm bringing that up because it's like, yeah, sure, they didn't have goals, maybe, or at least some of them didn't have a goal of like being where they're at now. But
Yeah.
if you do actually have an idea of like what you want, then you do need to have a goal. Because everybody, like I said, everybody who's gotten to where they're at now, who from when they started were obsessed about their craft or their business or their whatever their pursuit was, they did it because they had a vision.
All right.
And why do you need that vision? Well, because if you're after something, you need a sort of compass to guide you there. You need
the muse to guide you.
You need the muse to guide you. You need, if you're of faith, you need God or Buddha, whatever, to guide you there for sure.
What have you? Yeah.
And you need to guide yourself, and you need to have others around you to help support and help guide you to there.
Totally. That's especially important too.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're going into, because I like to always tell you, and we always like to talk that you're a culmination of the five. What is it? You're a culmination of the five people you spend your most time with.
Yeah, I believe Epictetus said that, didn't he?
He might have. I always just heard it when I was getting started in sales. Like, they would always tell us during these meetings, like, you can be mindful of what you consume, and you are who you hang out with.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that.
Oh, no, it wasn't Epictetus. It was a philosopher that came later. But I love what you just said.
Yeah.
It is so true. It is all about the people you hang out with. You are, it's always like, what is it, the 3 or the 5 people you're most around with. I mean,
Right.
It doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're hanging out with morons all day, I mean, you're going to be a moron.
Going to be a moron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas they're like, well, maybe I don't have this talent or this skill or this knowledge, but I'm hanging around with people who are reaching for something, who do have goals. That'll, not to say you'll definitely make it, but it'll be a positive influence on you for sure.
Totally.
Without a doubt.
It can't hurt you.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, you need that kind of company.
Right. I
But-
can actually think of somebody now who didn't initially have a goal, who was in a sort of different profession. The singer from Greta Van Fleet.
He kind of came to my mind too. Yeah.
So, what? Josh is his name, I think.
I think it's
Josh Kiska.
I think it's Josh. Yeah.
Josh.
Josh.
From my understanding, wanted to be a filmmaker. Actually, at first, he wanted to do film, and I think that's still what he wants to do. And he ended up
That's right.
being the front man of a Zeppelin tribute.
Yeah, pretty much the Zeppelin tribute band. Yeah. No, there are cases like that. However, he did have, he still, at the end of the day, can sing well.
He
That's
can.
why they made it to
I enjoy them.
where they're at. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're a solid
Wrong with
band.
that. Yeah. I feel like there's something to be said about, when you're just writing down goals. I think like a goal, like I said, a goal can't just be a dream or a nice pipe dream, like I have an idea. It's something that is ingrained almost in your mind, and you can literally can you see it, you can like feel it, and you're thinking about it constantly. You're eating it, you're sleeping it, you're drinking it, you're breathing it. It's just, you're obsessed with it. I think you and we have that mindset.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Anybody who whether we've seen with our own eyes or we've seen like on media, like, like say Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, from, I guess, seen from the hindsight sidelines, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Those are people that they had an idea, a dream, quote unquote, but they, not only was it a nice little idea, they really went for it. They really, it was a part of how they were thinking. It was behind their mindset in every day-to-day decisions.
Right.
And that's how it should be when you set goals. Like, that's how it really should be. Same with just if you're trying to lose weight. It's like, that's like constantly in your mind when you're trying to, when you're going grocery shopping, of course. When you start your day, it's like, getting on that treadmill or driving to the gym, what have you. Yeah. And I say this as I'm trying to really trying to improve my fitness regimen.
You and me both, dude.
Yeah.
You and me both. It's a work in progress, but
it is.
No, it's great to have those goals.
Yeah.
And importantly, just as importantly, I would say executing upon those goals, because you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you just execute, like we always like to say, with people like Gary
V.
Not to shit on Gary V. He's a very successful guy.
Yeah, that's a big quote of his, is ideas are shit, just execute. And I think what he means by that is like we were talking about, your pipe dreams, your ideas, they're meaningless without execution.
Right. What are you executing on?
Yeah, which that is true. That's definitely true. But the way I interpret that is kind of like, it's like, oh, ideas are shit, just execute. It's like, okay, well, what are we executing?
What are we executing on?
You need to think about that. And you need to really have a good plan, I think. You can't just half-ass your way into this goal-setting stage.
Right.
Even Schwarzenegger says it himself. It's like, whatever you're after, he says it in his motivational talks, what have you. He says, no, you need to have a goal. Like, I think everybody says that. Everybody agrees on that.
Totally.
And the importance of writing it down, like I said, keeping it in your mind. And one thing I think about is, I think a lot of people are afraid to set goals. I think fear is a big element. And they may say, here's what I think the problem is. I think people, it's not that they set too big goals. I think the reality is most people don't set their goals high enough.
Right.
Because they're afraid if they're going to let themselves down or their friends down or their family down. And they'll be afraid of that potential failure that doesn't exist, at least not now. They're afraid of
it's always the what if factor.
Yeah, the what if factor. They're afraid of potentially what could go wrong.
The unknown.
It's like I set this goal too high, and it's like I didn't make it. Now I'm a failure. Yeah. Think like Dave Mustaine, for instance, of Megadeth.
Yeah.
Because back to the music references, like we just rambled on about music in the last episode. But Dave Mustaine, I think he had it in his mind that he was going to topple Metallica. He was going to beat Metallica, regardless of the fact that he's had one of the most successful hard rock metal bands out there, selling out arenas.
Yeah.
And, all these, records that he's sold out, being widely recognized and widely acclaimed. He still he kind of tends to feel like a failure because he never beat Metallica. He was still kind of number 2.
Right.
So
that's an interesting story too, seeing as he was booted out of that band.
Yeah, because that's why he had that resentment, because he was fired from Metallica. And
what a story.
But that was the goal he had set, I think, was to beat Metallica.
Out metal Metallica, man.
Even though he's got everything else though that he could be happy for.
Yeah.
And still, there was an interview where he said he's like, I feel like a failure because I haven't beat that band that fired me.
But you see, to me, that's so sad to hear, because I guess, it's healthy to a degree to always want to outdo yourself. But to me, that's sort of sad, because it's like, dude, you're a multi-platinum selling artist. Mm-hmm. You've been able to live pretty comfortably doing this in in this business. And yet still he's like, oh, I'll never, amount to James Hetfield or Lars Ulrich.
Yeah.
But I guess at the same time, on the other side of the coin, that's sort of what keeps him going.
Yeah.
It's sort of the reason why he still makes records and still tours and still stays in relatively good shape to do what he's doing.
You could say that. There's definitely an argument to be made for that, for the good of it. I think goals have to be, it has to be sincere. There has to be a good reason behind doing it. It has to be selfless, I think. It's like, why do you want to lose weight? For instance, why do you want to get in shape? Is it to make your ex jealous and like show him or her like, look what I did in the past 6 months? So while you were trying to forget me, look what I did look what I've done, or trying to get that girl or that guy that you're like eyeballing at the corner store, whatever. Like, are you doing it for those reasons? Or are you doing it because you genuinely want to improve your image and
feel better for yourself?
Yeah, take control of your body, feel better about yourself. Because that's I think that's a better reason for wanting to do it. Sure, you can have sort of selfish things driving you to get there. Like, I'll show these people that screwed me over, or I want that Lamborghini. I want to be hanging out with the
top dogs.
Yeah, with the top dogs. Those are fine, I think, but as long as it's not like the driving force. I feel like that's the middle line there,
right?
For sure.
You never want those to override your goal, or you don't want to be doing it for the wrong reasons. You never want it to be interfering with that ultimate goal, because if you're doing all those things just because like, oh, I'm gonna get back at whoever, or be wanting to chill with the top dogs, like, it's not very healthy.
No.
That'll, to a degree, that can corrupt you, I would argue.
Mm-hmm. I think it can, without a doubt. I mean, like, look at Dave Mustaine, for instance, But still, that fear of setting goals too high, I think that is a real thing. It's like, there's something about our human nature where we may think of us as like arrogant, and or we may tend to fall into like arrogance and ego. But I think for a lot of people, it works in kind of the opposite direction, where they devalue themselves. They have low self-esteem, and that you can see that reflect in their pursuits. And I'm guilty of this. I know you're guilty of this.
We all are.
Of like not reaching high enough because we don't think we can get there.
Yeah, we don't.
I think you and I we've combated that in recent times. We beat those insecurities and told
absolutely
those to get lost. But
yeah,
I think that's something that I think people struggle with.
Yeah, it's people always, again, I'm still guilty of this once in a while, and just like everybody, but people don't really understand their value, what they can bring to the table.
Yeah.
That's not to be confused with being humble, because you want to be humble always. At least, that's my philosophy. But don't have that be confused with, like, oh, I'm never good enough. I'm a really a good filmmaker? Am I really a good guitarist? Am I really a good athlete?
Yeah.
And Stephen Pressfield, one of your favorite authors and one of my favorite authors. I'm really happy you shared that book, The War of Art.
I love that read.
Highly, highly recommend that book, The War of Art, to anybody who's a budding entrepreneur, specifically in the arts. But forget that. I recommend that book to everybody.
I think everybody should listen to it, because it really helps you get over, even if you're a scientist too, even just let alone naming random types of jobs out there. I think everybody should listen to it, because it's all about fighting resistance. And what is resistance? It's this evil force. He calls it evil, but like it's just it's that force that keeps you from doing your work,
right,
and living up to your full potential, being the best version of yourself. But anyway, what were we gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, first and foremost, check out The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. You can get it on Audible, and I'm not paid.
Shameless shameless plug.
Yeah, I'm not paid to do any of this, for the record. I'm not affiliated, whatever.
Yeah.
But what he says is, at the same time, it's also a good thing to think, oh, am I really an entrepreneur? Am I really a musician or an artist or a videographer? Because that's what keeps you going too. Like what is it? He says something like,
well, he says fear is an indicator. He says,
right, fear isn't. That's what I was getting.
He's like, he said, are you paralyzed by fear? That's a good sign,
right?
Because if you're paralyzed by fear, that's a good thing, because it shows you what you have to do.
You have to do.
And he cites how, if you ever watch Inside the Actor's Studio, and the interviewer asks the actor or actress a bunch of questions, and then usually they say, like, what made you want to do this role? And they always say, because it scared me, because I needed to go in uncharted waters. That's basically what he's saying, and that's why I think fear, it can really be a detrimental thing that holds us back.
Right.
But at the same time, it can be such a powerful tool. Instead of being afraid of something, thinking like, oh, do I really want to do that? It's like, yeah, you do. Right. Because this blockade is coming up, and it's like, I'm going to beat that.
Just like Marcus Aurelius says, use your obstacle to your advantage to grow and to get to the next step.
That's amen to that.
I know what you were saying. That was really awkward.
Yeah, we'll do it right. We'll do
there
it
we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Come on, Mike. No, but I know you were mentioning that in the last show too, and that really inspired me to listen to some Stoics, man, over the past week.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah.
But no, at the end of the day, that's if you can use fear, we've been talking about fear. People are afraid to set those goals high enough. You can, if you're afraid of it, the more if you're deathly afraid of something, that's a really good indicator that you got to go for it even more.
Yeah.
So use fear to your advantage. I guess.
Absolutely.
I
definitely get fear for sure. I mean, even in recent times, I'm thinking like I've been doing pretty well financially right now, but I think like, well, what if like, I think we may have mentioned this in the last episode we did, like the first episode, I should say, like what if there's a recession that hits, or like you think all these different things, or like what if I do have a few months again, kind of like where I started, where I just have no business. And I'm afraid of that, but I'm trying to train myself to think of like, you know what, if that happens though, I'll prepare. I'm going to let that, sorry, there's a fly.
Here's the fly.
There's that fly attach himself to
there's Larry.
So many distractions. But no, sorry, cut off. No, I'm going to use that fear to leverage and sort of think like, okay, well now I'm going to it's like, I got to think, like you said, the obstacles, got to work either through that or around it, somehow maneuver in a way to get to where I want to be. Because obstacles are going to get thrown at you left and right. That's just how it is. It's just the price you pay for being in the ring.
Right. It's inevitable. And it's very important to always have perspective too. And
nah, don't worry about it. Yeah. For people who are just listening, like there's a light right above us, a big light, and there's a fly just circling around the perimeter.
Love it.
And just
get out of here, man. But no, what's important too is that you fear can also be a motivator. Like you were just saying, like, oh, what if my business crashes? What if I don't hit my quota? What if I don't make enough money this month? It can be used in a positive way too, to be like, hey, like I got to get rolling here.
Yeah.
I think healthy fear, don't let fear drive you, but having a healthy fear is always not a bad thing.
It's definitely a good thing. It's like, I think fear is just, this is another Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic kind of philosophy, is like anything, just like fear. Fear is a great example of this. Like there's nothing that's really good or bad. It's really just how you interpret it, really, at the end of the day. Like,
Right.
you could say, it's like, oh, I lost my job. This is terrible. It's like, is it terrible? Or is it, it's like sad that, yeah, I won't be making money. I got to figure out what to do now.
Right.
But it could also be a positive, like,
Right.
hey, I can finally start that business, or
new
whatever.
opportunity.
I can find a better job, what have you. There's definitely some truth to be said about that. You know, not having emotions dictate
Right.
those sort of things.
I think to go back to your point about how you were saying, like, okay, well, you know, you're kind of enjoying a ride right now, and you know, any entrepreneur will have that fear of, oh, you know, what if this happens to me? Will I go under?
Anybody else too will have that thing
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Anybody else will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think there's also some comfort in knowing that business is always ebbs and flows.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always going to be on the highest of highs, and you're not always going to be at the lowest of lows. Like, nothing lasts forever.
Totally.
And you just got to enjoy the process.
Totally.
In the meantime, whether you're in the highs, and yes, even when it's tough, down in the lows. If you're at a low, and trust me, you know, Mark and I have both had our share of lows.
Oh yeah. 2020.
2020,
Yeah.
right? It's so cliche, but it does get better, and nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, you can't always expect everything to be perfect, because shit, that ain't life, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty much.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, going back to kind of like Gary Vee and that sort of hustle culture, you know, I felt like quoting, well, like I'm quoting this from Chris Do, but he was quoting it from somebody else. He was talking about, like, you know, setting goals and having that desire for what you're trying to achieve. You know, I think, I don't know where it comes from, but we live in this sort of society now where busyness and grinding to the teeth is like glorified.
Right.
Just like, you know, working your life, your soul away is like glorified, this hustle culture. And in any pursuit, in any business you're trying to run, or any fitness regimen you're trying to do, hustle is important. It's an important element that you have to do, but it's not the only thing.
Right.
It's not if you don't. So this Chris Do was saying, it's like, imagine your goal is like a destination on the map. Say you go from here in the Boston area, you go from here to LA. Imagine like LA is like your goal. It's your destination where you're trying to go to. And your compass, you have like a compass. Imagine that is like your guiding, that's like your goal. It's like your guiding way of getting there. And your hustle is your trek, your travel to get there. Now, you could hustle, like, you know, that entire route there and like work really hard to get there. But if you didn't set that compass, if you didn't set that destination crystal clear, you'd find yourself hundreds of miles off course, and you will not know where the fuck you are.
Right. Right.
And your hustle, quote unquote, will be futile.
Right.
So that's why it's important to distinguish.
Yeah.
Again, hustle is important, but it's not like, you know, again, how people like glorify it. It's not the only thing. You need to have these goals, and you need to think of ways to work smarter.
Yeah.
I hate hustle culture. I really do.
Yeah.
I think,
it's definitely, it pays to work smarter. And
Yeah.
it's, you know what I like to call this? I've always kind of used this.
yeah.
I guess I don't know. I kind of coined it. Is you got to have a German Shepherd mentality. What do I mean by that? Is always keep your eye crystal clear, like you were just saying, on where you want to go. Don't be distracted by everything happening around you. You're a German Shepherd. You're in war. You're going through hell right now. You're a dog of war. There's bombs going off left and right. Guys are dying. You know, it's total insanity going off around you. There's going to be lots of distractions. There's going to be lots of pitfalls and detours, but it's not going to be a perfect trek, like you were just saying. But as long as you have that German Shepherd mentality, tunnel vision,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I guess that's exactly what I'm saying. You have German Shepherd mentality, tunnel vision. you can't not get to your goal eventually.
Yeah. And I think I like that analogy too, because when you think like a German Shepherd like that, he's not distracted.
Yeah.
No distractions, and that's ideal.
Yeah. He's
sure.
not emotional.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you work smart and hard for sure, but again, without that vision, without the ability to know yourself and like make decisions, like I said, your hustle will be futile. And that's why I think, I don't know where this comes from in like recent years to like glorify these like long working hours. It's like you really want to glorify, working your mind away, your soul away, and like, and to just like be distant from your friends and family. Like, that's not how we're meant to live.
Yeah.
That's not what working hard is.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I know you are, and I'm trying to fix you on that. It's like, because I know,
mean,
because you're a Sicilian workhorse. I know that. But
exactly. And trust me, I get it. Like, I get it now.
Yeah.
And it's, again, just to recap, like, there's nothing wrong with working hard and being a workhorse at the shit that matters. Is what I'm getting at.
You definitely need it. It's an important component.
Right. I'm not going to say, I'll always be like that. It's just who I am. Like you were just saying.
Yeah,
like,
some people are wired like that.
Right.
For sure.
Right. What I'm getting at though is that, work hard at the shit that matters. And I can't remember where I was.
Well, I think that's all right. I mean, I think, put an example this way. It's like, you have these, again, like people like Kevin O'Leary or whatever. I think people,
right.
they watch, I think people, there's a difference. There's how entrepreneurs actually are and how people perceive entrepreneurs. Right. They think they watch Shark Tank and they're like, oh, that's how you run a business. It's like, no, that's a freaking TV show. And they're on for like 10 minutes.
Right.
I mean, they people on there, they always say it's like, oh, you work 25-hour days. And it's like,
right. Okay,
well, you could say that, but what if I figured out a time of the day where I knew I was most productive and efficient and could get the most done the quickest, and either I can go out and just live my life, or I can think about other work that I want to plan towards and get good sleep, take care of my body, exercise, get good, have a good diet regimen,
have some balance,
and then wake up the next day being able to start all over again.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln even said, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's
like being able to make those decisions and figure out where you're best productive, as opposed to just saying, I'm just gonna, dig wide. Like I always say this, there's two kinds of people in this world: those that dig wide and those that dig deep.
Dig deep. Right.
Those that dig wide, they can, like I said, they can still be hustling and grinding all they want, like they say on freaking social media. But it's meaningless if you haven't found a single, like you said, the German Shepherd. You haven't identified a single like target that you can really narrow in and hone in on and go after that, just that alone.
Right.
Because
be a little more calculated with
and envision it. Because if you can't do that, if you don't do that, you're just, like you said, you're going to be all over the place. You won't get to where you want to be because you've never set that destination.
Right. Put the energy into having that laser sharp focus, into all the energy and that hustle into that shot.
That's right.
This is what I'm trying to get at, as opposed to, loading the gun and ripping off all these rounds everywhere else.
Yeah, that's what I think should be emphasized. That's what should be glorified. And I think people like Vaynerchuk or
Ty Lopez,
he's another one. They may have this good message of motivating people to do things, but I think in some cases it's kind of dangerous because like you're promoting, I think in my eyes, you're promoting this idea of like being constantly busy and overworking yourself. That's not, like I said, it's not healthy. It's not practical either. And, and what was I going to say? Something about that. I just got so caught up in ideas and I was talking about. What was I going to say? I think it can be a dangerous thing to think about because that's not setting people up for success.
Right.
By doing those sort of things. Like I said, people can find some good motivation out of it for sure.
Totally.
I think people, I do, and I think this speaks to a bigger problem when it comes to social media. I think people need to be held accountable for the things they say.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
It's like, well, what do you mean when you say hustle and grind?
Right.
Because
back it up. Yeah.
I've even kind of found myself. I realized this lately. I've kind of because of this sort of thing. I've kind of positioned myself in this school of thought where I get a no pun intended with what's going on social media, this red flag trend, but I get like this red flag when I hear it's like work hard, hustle.
Yeah.
Because I think of that sort of those negative things that we were just talking about. But I realize I am a hard worker. I do work really hard at what I do. I just don't, it's not all I do. I'm very good at making decisions. It's what's got me to where I am today. It's the ability to make those decisions and be single-minded,
right,
and have a niche, focus only on that. And once you do that, then you hustle.
Absolutely.
Then you grind.
Yeah.
Those both need to come in hand in hand. It's like if you start going back to the fitness example. It's just because it's the first thing on my mind, just because, I'm always trying to work out and better myself.
Do you even lift, bro?
Do you even lift, bro? I mean, let's say it's like, imagine the hustle in that sense is you go to the gym and you lift your weights, you lift heavy, you max out whatever. Imagine that's working hard. It's like, okay, well, that's what's going to get me to get big, right? To be able to, whether you want to be a weightlifter competitor or if you want to actually be a bodybuilder, they pose. It's like, oh, that's going to get me there is if I lift heavy and max out and really exert myself. It's like, okay, sure, but you need to also have good form. You need
you lift.
You need form is number one. Mm-hmm. If your form is shit, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You're going to be, what the hell? Not to mention diet.
Yep.
You could be exerting yourself in the gym like I do, working hard in the gym. And if my diet's shit, I'm not gonna make it. But
it's all about balance.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's all about balance between, having that hustle and that really hardcore work ethic and working smart at that, having that hardcore work ethic while being dialed in to that ultimate goal like we were talking about.
Yeah. I think it's a damn shame that we don't live in a society that promotes and encourages productivity. It's all about busyness and being busy. And I think you and we're both, we're workhorses. I love to be busy. I do like to be busy with work.
Oh, dude. Absolutely.
But I also like to have a life, and I like to be able to go on walks and hikes whenever I want, being able to see friends, hang out with you, on weekends. And there's nothing that says we can't have those things and still work toward our goals and be working hard. Those are not mutually exclusive things.
Right.
Burnout
is never good.
Burnout is not good. It's not.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn out.
And trust me, I'm speaking firsthand. I've been burned out in the past. Like I said, I've been guilty of it. We've all been there. And it's never a good thing.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I mean, there are periods, I think, where some of us, if not all of us, I think we've all experienced burnouts. And sometimes it's just what you go through. If things get tough or they get really crazy busy, you can't think straight, then you do, at some point, you have these little burnouts. And that just happens. But the people they're almost like these adrenaline junkies that they kind of, it's like, the burnout or whatever. It's like, it's like, no, you're not gonna go far if that's how you're working. Just working to I mean, do you really think if you get 4 or less hours of sleep a day, you're putting in those extra hours like you think you are, do you really think that work is going to be quality?
No. I think there's exceptions though.
I disagree, but finish your thought.
What I mean by it's not a common thing. I totally agree with everything you're saying, and who knows, could they have done it better? Probably. But, you hear these stories about Thomas Edison, sleeping 3 hours to make the light bulb and
is that what he said though? Did he say that he did that, or is that what historic? First I want to know how that was recorded in history.
Right. It's just something that's people just knew. It's something I don't know whether he said it or it's just always been a thing. I've always heard growing up, like, oh, Thomas Edison did that for 3 hours. What I'm getting to, though, is that maybe are people that driven and so excited about what they're doing to the point where they don't, that's all they want to do? Like,
there are certainly outliers.
that's what I'm trying to say.
And, to shift my argument, who's to say like the light bulb or the automobile, electricity, all these things, who's to say those things wouldn't have existed if you didn't have crazy people like that?
Yeah.
I think where I come in and say is like those crazy people, there are going to be those crazy people, like those outliers that'll be out there.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to be one of those crazy people that only sleeps 3 hours or something to achieve. Yeah. You don't need to be like that to get to where you want to be.
Not in 2021.
That's what I'm trying to communicate when I say that here.
No, I agree 100%.
Not to take anything away from Thomas Edison. I guess I'm just a little skeptical. I was like, because like another example that comes to mind is Ronald Reagan. He glorified, only sleeping 4 hours, and look what happened to him. He got Alzheimer's.
He did. Yeah, no, it's not healthy.
Yeah,
take care of yourself. Eat your veggies. Take your vitamins.
Yes,
and,
amen. Which
have
that
balance.
Should be said a lot more in this time right now that we're in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
have the hunger. But at the end of the day, it's all about balance, regardless of what you do.
Totally. Totally, without a doubt.
No doubt.
No. Yeah, that was a good rant.
Yeah.
I feel good after rambling that.
Totally.
Yeah. Are we doing on time? Are we? What's it say in the camera?
8:24. What time do we start?
40. It says like we got like 47 minutes on the cameras. We got time to keep talking.
Yeah. What else we got?
No, I think like I said, that was a topic maybe for goals for today, but we could talk just going into
there's a lot of there's a lot of people or things that can also prevent you from getting to those goals.
Yes.
Going off of like, look, I'm not going to call Gary Vee a con artist or people like him or Ty Lopez con artists, but there have been people that you and I have dealt with in the past, a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Of course, we won't mention any names.
Oh, yeah.
But there are people or things that can get between you and that ultimate goal. Like I was saying, the German Shepherd is going to experience those bombs, those distractions going off.
Speaking of distractions, is that chair squeaking that I'm in? Is that really bad?
I don't know.
It's freaking squeaky as hell. Anyway, continue.
No, it's all good. But yeah, what I'm saying is you can't let those bombs or those people or things or distractions come between you and that ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And I think everybody in their life meets those people. I've gone through my share of people in the past that have I've looked back and I've been like, these people were not meant to be in my life, or these people were not meant to. People, like my mom always says, shout out mom. People are
shout out Maria. Shout out.
I love my mom very much.
Love Maria.
And anyhow, she always told me, this is something I'll never forget. People will be in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
A reason, a season, or a lifetime.
A reason, a season, or a lifetime. In other words, a season, people come and go. Those are the people I'm referring to. Those are the people you learn from. You learn from these types of people that can get in between you and the goal. But no, like I was saying, like, I look back in my life and I say, like, my God, I'm so happy that I've learned that. Of course, that happened first and foremost because you learn from those people. Like I was saying, but so grateful that I was able to come to my senses. In those business decisions or in those personal relationships, what have you, and be like, no, this is not for me. This is going to totally, if I continued doing that or continued dealing with those types of people, like I would not be doing anything close to my goal.
Yeah,
I know you've dealt with plenty
Definitely.
of those people too.
I think we all have. I think everybody listening can relate to us because no, you're right, and I love that. I'm gonna start using that. People, what is it? A reason, a season, or a lifetime. It's so true because, and I think early on when we try and have these ideas that we want to put together, we want to bring to fruition. There are going to be naturally detractors, and we talked about obstacles. I think people can sometimes be the biggest detractors, distractions, obstacles, because especially if they're like close to you and they're trying to tell you can't do it, and you kind of believe that because you believed everything they've said about you or to you. Maybe because they said a lot of positive things as well to you. You kind of then you think like, oh yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe I can't run my own business. Maybe I should just fall in line. Maybe I'm not meant to be a power lifter or what have you. And
that's coming from a place of insecurity for those people, though.
It is, I think, because a lot of them, it's like either they maybe they tried it, but they felt like it wasn't feasible when really maybe they didn't apply themselves to it and they were too afraid to take that step and they took the safer route in life. But they feel happy with it now. I think they feel like they need to, if you ask them, they'll probably feel like, I'm just trying to help you out. I'm just trying to be your friend. I don't want to see you fall and crumble.
Right. But
if they were truly your friends, if they were truly like, they stood by you like that and supported your goals, and they would I feel like they would push you toward it. Like if they were to give you that tough love, it would be because maybe you're falling by the wayside a little bit. You're detracting a little bit. It's like, no, have that German Shepherd tunnel
mentality.
Yeah. That's what they should be. But I think naturally we would just, people come and go in life. They fade away. I've had tons of people or at least handfuls of people that in my life that they were just a phase. And once I started being myself, being true to myself and aiming to be the best version of myself, those people kind of dissipated. They fell away.
Right.
I haven't really heard from them anymore. Or maybe we just ended it officially. Like, that's it. We can't do this anymore. I haven't really had, I don't think I've really had a case like that where I've had to really tell somebody like we got to end our relationship because your mindset. It's going back to like what you were saying about you are the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I can't be around you. This energy that you and so have.
Yeah.
It's not helping me. It's not helping me grow. It's not helping me with my goals. And I just need to cut it. I never had that conversation. Did you? Have you ever had somebody like that?
Yeah. Not necessarily, but there's also, I guess, another perspective on it too, is that like, okay, this could be both for like, a personal relationship that you're in with somebody, or for someone you've met in school or in business, what have you.
Yeah.
Another perspective on it is like, okay, well, maybe this person doesn't have the same set of goals as me. And that may be a reason why that person is preventing you from getting to where you want to be ultimately, because it can't be like oil and water. I mean, sometimes it's just the way it is. There's nothing wrong with those people inherently. In some cases, sometimes people are just scumbags and shouldn't be dealt with. Period.
But sometimes they have healing to work on.
Right. Sure. Exactly. And we all have healing to deal with. But what I'm getting at is that, sometimes people just have a totally different set of goals. And that's totally fine. But when you realize that, that's when you have to be like, no, like it's not working.
Yeah.
Whether that be a personal relationship or a business partner. And that's very important, because I think a lot of the times a lot of people are scared to be like, oh, I just keep doing this, or, they let that fear cripple them.
Yeah.
And it's very important to it's important to wake up and smell the coffee.
I like that, yeah.
And to be like, okay, well, this might be a tough decision. If I lose money, I could lose money if I do this, or I could lose, I could lose the relationship, or it doesn't matter what it is. Again, this is applicable to any scenario when this might happen.
Yeah.
You can't let that fear paralyze you and then totally corrupt you and make you throw you totally off course, like you were saying earlier. You can't let those bombs that are going off from that ultimate goal paralyze you or take you out or just completely prevent you from getting to the end goal. You're going to have the flashbangs thrown at you and be like, oh, damn, I can't see. I can't, total havoc, your buddy's getting killed next to you. What have you. I'm sure my military friend can attest to that, and God bless him. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, you got to take those, you got to make those tough decisions sometimes, regardless of if you're a business owner, if you're in a relationship, if you're what have you again. Because at the end of the day, that decision might be tough, but it could be the very thing that saves your ass at the end of the day and gets you back on course to where you need to be.
Yeah. Everybody I've seen, both with my own eyes and just people just people you see on, on the news and social media, what have you, those success stories I'm talking about, but especially the people in my life that I've seen. We'll just go with that. We'll just start with that.
Yeah.
Predicate or whatever. The great things that they've achieved was never out of, they all had to assume some big risk, and they all had to go through some sort of, whether that was like concrete, like danger, or just adverse challenges. Nothing they achieved was out of, like, they were just kind of climbing the ladder with their hands in their pockets, so to speak, or in comfort, what have you. They all had to do it out of some kind of taking a big risk, falling down and having to pick themselves back up. It's just how it is.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah, you can't. It's never going to be an easy ride, and
right.
I think that's when a lot of people, like the ones that you're talking about, those negative people, the detractors, that's when they give up. When they once they hit that first ditch, that first bump in the road, they're like, I'm out.
When the going gets tough.
Yeah, when the going gets tough, they're like, I'm out. And then they'll be like, this doesn't make sense. Why would you pursue this? This doesn't make any sense. It's like, because you hit a wall. You hit one obstacle, dude. That you don't stop there.
Marcus Aurelius would not approve.
No, Aurelius would not approve.
Jeff
Edison
Bezos wouldn't approve.
Jeff Bezos, Thomas Edison, Elon Musk wouldn't approve.
Scorsese,
Slash, George Washington, what have you.
Tom Brady.
We'll just name a bunch of that. No, I forgot where I was going with that. It was like you need to.
Can't let it totally disable you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, I remember what I was going to say. This is why I'm against having a plan B.
Yeah.
And this is like, people listening to this, they may, I think a lot of people may disagree. They're like, what do you mean? No, you should have a backup plan. And I say, no, don't have a backup plan. Because the moment, if you have a backup plan set up, this is not like on the topic of what we're talking about today with like goals. It's like when you have this goal, don't create a backup goal, a backup plan, because at least in my opinion, when you have this sort of backup plan, like I said, the moment you hit that first ditch, that first bump in the road, you're going to fall back on plan B. Right. You're going to...
No, that's a great point.
Right when the going gets tough, you're going to fall back on that subpar plan.
And you get comfortable.
You get comfortable. And no, I think I didn't have a plan B when I started my business. Mm-hmm. and I don't mean to talk from like some like grandeur standpoint where like I'm an expert here, because I can only tell you what I've learned from my own experience in the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, give or take.
We're still going through the process.
I just want to make that clear. I'm going through the process, but that's one big thing that I did, or I should say didn't do, that was very key to getting to where I'm at now, where I will continue to be going, is that I didn't have a plan B. I did not have a backup plan. And I was intentional about that. I was like, no, I got to go for this. If I set these backup plans or whatever, then like I said, I'm going to be just digging wide and not digging deep to where I really got to go. So I need to make that clear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, for the record, Mark and I, we're not some old sage. We're not scholars. Anything we say on this show is just purely based off of our experience, because we are never going to stop learning. The day I stop learning is the day I'm 6 feet under, bro. And but no, these are all just our experiences and what we've gone through, and some of the knowledge that we've picked up along the way in the process.
Absolutely, well said. And no, I certainly would hope if I reach a point where I stop growing, I hope it's because I died.
Yeah. You know what's crazy though, and this is so true. I think Ben Franklin said, pretty sure it was Ben Franklin, said that some people die at 24 and live until they're 70 or 80.
Yeah, this is very true.
You know, they
peak in high school.
They peak in high school. We all know those people. But you can't stop learning, because if you stop learning at 24, if you stop learning at 35, if you stop learning at 50, even up until you die, that's never a good thing. Because what is the purpose of life then if you're just going to stay stagnant? That's something I hate. And that's something I think we're also all guilty of at the same time, is once in a while being like, oh, like, what do I do? What do I do? You got to keep going. You got to never give in to, well, this is it. I guess I don't know anything else. It's like, I always go back to Slash because he's, an inspiration for me musically, and he gives some great advice to, even entrepreneurially, like, the guy is an entrepreneur. He's a very esteemed guitar player. He's been doing this since the early 80s, 70s. And he still says, I love this, and I love to just apply this to what I do and how I wake up every morning. Is he is like this great guitarist, and somebody asked him, like, so, like, some reporter or some journalist was like, oh, well, you're a guitar legend, and you know all these things, and you've made all these records, and you've got this arsenal of guitars, and you've been on magazines and all this stuff. How does it feel to be at the top, basically? And he says something like, oh, I'm not at the top. I'm still learning every day. I'm still a student. That's what he said. I'm still a student. And to me, that's just beautiful.
Love that. Yeah, there's certainly, I feel like the people at the top, at the quote unquote top, because there is no top. It's an illusion. But those people at that level, they're always like, I got to go for the next thing. When you finally fill a basket of full of apples, you realize there's 30 more baskets to fill. And another thing, going back to Stephen Pressfield with the War of Art, he talks about real professionals when it comes to art. Like they view themselves as like those students, those apprentices. They have mentors, they have coaches, they have people to guide them, and they're always learning, continuing every single day. I guarantee you, Tom Brady, I don't know his regimen, but I guarantee you he's still, during his off season, what have you, or when he's like training for a season, I don't care. He's the greatest quarterback in the world. He's got somebody, or he's got a team of coaches or people, what have you, that are showing him, different plays he's got to maneuver, things like that. Tiger Woods is known to do that for sure.
Absolutely. Brady still surrounds himself with those core 5 people that help him perform on and off the field to his best of his abilities.
Yeah.
That guy, dude, when I think of discipline, I think of Tom Brady. To me, the guy's the most disciplined guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He tracks everything he eats. He trains like an animal. Everybody should aspire to be Tom Brady in terms of being disciplined, because that's such a
bunch of rings.
Yeah, I mean, that's
rings.
That's how he does it, man.
Yeah,
like that's how he the guy has just razor sharp discipline. He would not have 7 rings and be unanimously the greatest quarterback of all time if he didn't have that, and that's awesome. Sure, he'll win the Super Bowl when he goes to a different team and moves down to Florida, and he'll get a little lit, at the Super Bowl parade. And there's, you need that release.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw that video on Barstool when they won the Super Bowl, and I could not stop laughing. Like, my boy Tom's getting lit in Florida, man. Yeah.
I didn't see that. You'll have to send that to me.
It was so funny. The caption was like, "Yeah, Tom, Florida will do that to you." And like Gronk was like throwing the Lombardi trophy across the freaking the boats going by on the parade. But
Gronk.
Anyhow, Tom Brady, you're a legend. I love you. I'll always love you, and I aspire to be like you every day, discipline wise, in my own pursuits.
Amen. Well, but how did he get there? How to have that discipline? Because he cut out those negative people in his life, whoever they would have been, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He saw that fear of maybe being the best quarterback in the world. If you would talk to him, he would acknowledge that he's like the greatest quarterback in the world.
Of course not.
But regardless, that goal, he had that fear, or at least people around him were telling him, like, "Are you sure you want to go for this?"
Yeah.
And he had to have said, like, "Yeah, I'm going for it."
Yeah.
And that's what made him so great, because he didn't keep his eye off of where he was trying to go, that prize. And he eliminated anything in his life that was not going to help him get there. He was single-minded, and that's what you need, is single-mindedness.
Absolutely.
To help you get to where you want to be. And I think you and I, but it's hard. Single-mindedness, it's hard to have those traits. I mean, even me, sometimes I derail. I was trying to catch up on some editing today, and I'll like check my phone, or like, I'm like, it's nice out, I should go on a walk, which is good. You need to get your vitamin D, but still, it's like all these distractions that come up, or like, oh, I should check my email, all these things. And
that's resistance, though.
It is resistance.
That's what Pressfield says. Yeah. Resistance is a killer. Resistance will do anything to cajole, anything to make it seem like it's doing you a favor, and then the second you think that's the case, it'll stab you right in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And resistance is ultimately, resistance is the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read that book or listen to that book, The War of Art, that I was mentioning, you'll know exactly what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important with your discipline to, I struggle with this every day. Everybody struggles with this every day. Don't let resistance win.
Yeah.
Have the discipline and that inspiration, because I think that's where the discipline can come in. If you always look to that end goal and have that German Shepherd mentality, and you're able to really just imagine that before you, that can be a great motivator. That can be the catalyst to that necessary discipline.
Yeah.
Resistance will do anything it can to kick your ass right on the floor the second you get out of bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because, all these problems we have nowadays in society would cease to exist if people didn't let resistance get to them.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, like when it all boils down.
This is true. All those people in prison, all those people in, going through drug addiction, alcoholism.
Wars could be avoided.
Wars.
But, one can only wish
all the violence.
In a perfect world, yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So don't let resistance cripple you.
Don't let it cripple you. And I think growth is key for anything. And like you said, even if you reach the quote unquote top, which like I said, that's an illusion. Mm-hmm. There's no top. There's always a way to do better and get better. I think another thing you can do is if you do kind of reach the sort of peak, I feel like what a lot of good successful, like what role models will do is if there's absolutely nowhere to go, they'll start another pursuit. And that's what I imagine, I think myself and you do too. Like that's kind of where that's where I want to get to. I want to be able to try out different pursuits and all these different things,
You and I are so similar.
Yeah.
In that regard, because
this is why we're friends.
That's great. I mean, dude, I want to be able to do all these things when I'm established myself too. Like, not only do I just want to be a touring musician making records and traveling everywhere and showcasing my music, but dude, you can ask my brother Dante too. Like, dude, I want to start a beer brand.
Yeah.
I want to start my own brewery. I just, that fascinates me. I want to do that. I want to travel. I want to.
Yeah. Let's start a nonprofit.
Be a philanthropist. Give back.
Maybe help. Yeah. Give back to maybe like those that maybe are after similar pursuits as us that maybe didn't have as much, didn't have
people that didn't have the means,
a good education, or at least a good school system, good means of education, opportunity, money, all these things like that. Giving back somehow, like the climate, helping out with the environment.
Totally.
I'm just rambling on, going on, think about things that I like to do.
Absolutely. I think our hearts are in the right place.
For sure.
And when we get there, man, it's going to be pretty sweet.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be, like I said last time, at the beginning of the show, the first episode, I know it's going to be tough. I know it's going to be brutally honest. I might lose everything tenfold. But you know what? So be it, because I'm going to still get it.
Amen.
And I don't give a shit if I lose my right arm. Or I don't give a shit.
Play lefty.
Right. Or, no, I love my right arm. I need my right arm. I need my arms to play guitar. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to let the wounds or the distractions or all the bombs going off in the battlefield while I'm charging through all of it to kill me, or sure, it'll stun me. Sure, things can happen. It's part of life. But damn it, when I get there, it's going to be great. And to me, that's what motivates the shit out of me. It's like, you imagine that. Like Steve Vai said, who's an excellent guitarist, like, you may not be the most esteemed guitarist ever, but for a second, forget your technical abilities, forget everything that's going on, and just imagine you playing exactly what you want to play on the guitar.
It's like Al Pacino says in Any Given Sunday, I'm willing to fight and die for that inch. It's this game of inches, and I'm willing to fight and die for it.
That's it. I love that, man.
Yeah.
I want to write, I need to put that on my wall.
For sure.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah. And that's what just
keep your face to the mic.
Yeah. Sorry. I tend to I got all these ideas and I'm very passionate. Yeah. I'm like, dogging down here.
Yeah.
But that's that whole mentality, at least for me, helps me combat resistance and all the other bombs going off beside me. So that's it.
Yeah. I say we end on that note. You say?
Yeah.
That was a good episode. I liked this one a lot. Our conversation a lot.
Totally.
Yeah. So, think about your dream, how it starts out, and then turn it into a goal, turn it into a plan, writing it down, getting it in your head, eating it, sleeping it, breathing it, and being single-minded toward that.
Be the German Shepherd.
Yeah. When obstacles arise, which they will, think of ways to work around it somehow, maneuver yourself and pick yourself back up again. And you know, sometimes people in your life, whatever, are things that you may have been comfortable with, may have to sacrifice. And that's like my little motivational closer.
Well said, man. Never lose sight of that end goal. Sure, people or things or all these crazy things might be trying to detract you from getting there. People might be discouraging you from getting there out of insecurity, or people might have those separate sets of goals, like I was mentioning before. But stay true to your heart. Again, you know, I'm a man of faith. I know you are too. I always like to say, you know, I keep my trust in God.
Amen.
You know, trust that I am where I am at that point in time on the battlefield, and realize that when the going gets tough, this too shall pass.
Amen.
While being single-minded and doing the best you can, because at the same time, as far as I'm concerned, it's not on our time. It's on God's time. You know, for those of you who aren't religious, it's on the universe's time. It's on trust that you are where you are for a reason. But those are just my 2 cents, and that's it. This was great, man.
Cool. This is a great conversation. I thank you all for listening. Hope you all enjoyed this. Hope we didn't suck. No, we're all thankful for you guys tuning in and listening to this, and like we said, we like the response we're getting. Thank you again, and we'll be back here again next week.
Yeah, let us know what you think. I know we'll be getting an Instagram and some social media up eventually. Hope we got to do that totally.
We'll be doing that. Yeah, day by day,
by day. We'll get that up, and any way you can, once we have the means to, you know, reach out to us. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah.
Whether you get ideas, you know, engage with us a bit, because we really appreciate everybody listening.
That's right. Love the engagement.
And that's it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Good stuff.
Let's get some dinner.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace out. Have a great night.
We'll see you next time.